Every little comment, every small setback, if it all gets under your skin, you're giving away your power. The truth is, the strongest people aren't the ones who face fewer problems. They're the ones who have mastered how they respond to them. Imagine walking through life like that, untouched by gossip, unmoved by judgment, unshaken by chaos. No more spiraling into overthinking, no more losing yourself in emotional storms. Just steady composure, no matter what the world throws at you. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop letting everything disturb you, you don't become cold. You become free. You discover the kind of strength that commands respect without ever raising your voice, the kind of presence that turns setbacks into stepping stones. If this speaks to you, then consider subscribing as a choice for your growth. Think of it as planting a seed of discipline and wisdom, a small step in your own journey towards self-mastery. Because the path to becoming unshakable begins here, with the decision to grow. Think about it. Most people let external noise dictate their mood. A rude comment ruins their entire day, and a minor inconvenience is enough to trigger a wave of frustration that lingers long after the moment has passed. We are constantly handing over our peace of mind to people and situations that, in truth, do not deserve that kind of control over us. But what if you stopped letting the world pull your strings? What if nothing outside of you could touch your inner calm, no matter how loud or distracting it became? This is where true strength begins, not in controlling others, not in bending the world to your will, but in mastering yourself. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. When you understand that your reaction is always your choice, you take back the power that most people give away every single day. The truth is, life will always throw challenges at you. People will misunderstand you, criticize you, insult you, and sometimes even betray you. Circumstances will change without warning. But your response, that's yours. And when you stop reacting impulsively to every inconvenience, when you learn to pause and remain still, you step into a state of control that most people will never experience. This isn't about pretending you don't feel emotions, but about becoming the kind of person who doesn't let emotions run their life. Instead of being thrown around by every storm, you become the anchor in the middle of it. And isn't it true that the people who leave the deepest impression on us are those who remain unshaken? Think of someone you admire who never seems rattled. They don't need to shout to be heard, and they don't need to defend themselves at every turn. Their calmness itself commands respect. Carl Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." This kind of inner clarity, the kind that frees you from reacting to every little disturbance, creates a presence so powerful it cannot be ignored. Imagine being insulted in public. Most people would snap back, get defensive, maybe even lash out. But what if instead you smiled and walked away? You would not only save your own peace of mind, but you would rob the other person of the power they were hoping to gain over you. They expected to control you with their words. By refusing to play the game, you've already won. This is why detachment is so powerful. It leaves the other person confused, unsettled, and without control. Meanwhile, you walk away untouched, undefeated, stronger than before. This way of living changes everything. It doesn't mean you become cold or indifferent. It means you refuse to waste energy on things that don't matter in the long run. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." How many times have you replayed an insult in your head long after it was spoken? How many nights have you lost to overthinking something small that, in the bigger picture, holds no weight at all? When you learn to act as if nothing bothers you, you stop giving away days, weeks, even years of your life to things that don't deserve them. Think about failure, for example. For some people, failure crushes their spirit. It makes them question their worth, and many never recover. But for those who master detachment, failure is not a personal defeat. It's information, it's feedback, it's a lesson disguised as a setback. They don't let failure define them, they use it to sharpen themselves. And because of that, they rise faster and stronger than those who get stuck lamenting what went wrong. This is what separates the resilient from the broken, the ability to see failure as part of the process, not the end of the story. Pressure works the same way. Life will place you under pressure again and again. Some people break, others fold, but the ones who thrive are those who prepare their minds beforehand. They don't expect smooth sailing, they expect resistance. Epictetus taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters," and he was right. Pressure exposes people. It shows who has trained their mind and who hasn't. If you can remain calm in the middle of chaos, you gain an advantage most people will never know. But calmness doesn't come from wishing for an easy life. It comes from training. Just as muscles grow by facing resistance, your mind becomes unshakable by facing difficulty without giving in to it. Every time you choose silence over an argument, every time you choose patience over frustration, every time you choose clarity over confusion, you are strengthening yourself. These small moments, repeated daily, are what build the armor that protects you from being torn apart by the noise of the world. And there's something almost magnetic about people who carry this kind of armor. Others are drawn to them without even understanding why. It's because they embody a mystery. They're not easily read, not easily shaken, not easily provoked. In a world where everyone is desperate to be heard and validated, someone who moves calmly, silently, and without the need for approval is captivating. People look up to them because they cannot figure them out. They wonder, how does nothing seem to touch them? How do they stay so composed while others fall apart? Silence is one of the most powerful tools in this way of living. Most people can't handle silence. They rush to fill it with words, explanations, justifications. But when you remain silent, you hold the power. You observe, you listen, you watch people reveal themselves without giving away anything of your own. Silence unsettles people because it leaves them with their own thoughts. It forces them to confront themselves while you remain steady. Aristotle once observed, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom," and silence is one of the fastest ways to come closer to that knowledge. The more you learn to stay silent when provoked, the more you disarm others. Insults lose their sting. Criticism loses its grip. Even praise doesn't sway you too much, because you've learned that your worth is not built on the words of others. And when you are no longer controlled by words, you free yourself from one of the most common chains in human life, the need for approval. Approval is one of the greatest traps. We're conditioned to chase it, to live for it, to measure our worth by it. But the moment you stop needing everyone's applause, you become free. Plato once said, "The man who has a good character does not need the approval of others." And that's the truth. The need for constant validation makes you fragile. It makes you bend to fit other people's molds. But when you detach from that need, you walk your own path unapologetically. You stop asking for permission to live. Of course, none of this means ignoring criticism entirely. There's wisdom in listening, but the key is filtering it through logic, not emotion. Some criticism helps you grow. Some is just noise. The strong person knows the difference. They accept what's useful, discard what's not, and move forward without overthinking. The weak person reacts to all criticism as if it were a personal attack, wasting energy defending themselves from words that don't deserve it. By filtering criticism calmly, you remain untouchable. And when you look closely, you see the same principle at work in every great mind of history. Socrates endured accusations and mockery with calmness that confused his enemies. Seneca remained composed while living under the shadow of emperors who could end his life at any moment. Jung explored the depths of the psyche, reminding us that the unconscious only controls us if we refuse to face it. These thinkers knew that power lies not in changing the world outside, but in mastering the world within. This is why letting go of what you can't control is the ultimate freedom. So much of our suffering comes not from events themselves, but from the stories we tell ourselves about them. We cling to expectations, demand that life unfold exactly as we planned, and suffer when it doesn't. But life was never meant to be fully under our control. Like a river, it flows with its own rhythm. Seneca wrote, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality." The moment you stop fighting against what is beyond your control, you stop creating unnecessary pain for yourself. And what about those everyday irritations that test you constantly? Traffic, delays, unexpected changes. These small things are opportunities. If you can practice letting go in these moments, you'll build the strength to handle the bigger storms when they arrive. The discipline to stay calm when it matters most starts with the discipline to stay calm when it matters least. Over time, something remarkable happens. You realize that emotional control isn't about suppressing your feelings. It's about guiding them. You still feel joy, sadness, even anger, but they no longer control you. They serve you, not the other way around. And that's the difference between someone who's easily shaken and someone who's unshakable. So remember this: the world will never stop testing you. There will always be insults, setbacks, disappointments, and pressures. But you don't have to crumble under them. You can choose composure. You can choose calm. You can choose strength. Master yourself, and nothing outside of you will ever have the power to master you again. Do you know why it hurts so much when someone disrespects you? It's because, often without realizing it, you've handed them the power to define your worth. Their words or actions dig into you because you let them touch something sacred, the way you see yourself. The moment you react in anger, defensiveness, or despair, you've given them ownership of your emotions. And in that instant, you've surrendered control. But what happens when you refuse to react? What happens when you let their words pass through you like wind through an open window? Something remarkable occurs. You take back your power. You stand firm in yourself, unshaken by their attempts to provoke. And in doing so, you not only rise above them, but you quietly unsettle them, because their expected outcome, your reaction, never comes. This is why the strongest people often appear untouchable. It's not that they never feel insulted, it's that they have chosen not to let insults define them. Epictetus once said, "If someone speaks ill of you, do not make excuses, but say, 'He was ignorant of my other faults,' or 'he would not have mentioned these alone.'" His point was not arrogance, it was freedom. When you no longer cling to the opinions of others, their criticism loses its sting. What would it look like for you to live this way, to hear someone's disrespect and smile quietly, knowing that your worth has never been in their hands? That is strength in its purest form. When you live like this, you stop being reactive and start being intentional. You no longer move because someone pushed your buttons. You move because you chose to. That difference is everything. Carl Jung once observed, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." The moment you catch yourself burning with anger at someone's words, it becomes an opportunity to look inward rather than lash outward. What part of you gave them that access? What wound did they touch? And do you want to keep letting that wound be exposed to every careless passerby? Or will you choose to heal it by no longer giving them that kind of power? Consider the way an insult works. An insult is not an objective truth. It's a projection, a string of words aimed at you in hopes of stirring a reaction. If you accept it, if you let it pierce you, it becomes real. If you reject it, not with anger, but with calm indifference, it dissolves into nothing. It only had life if you gave it life. This is why remaining composed is so unsettling to those who attack you. They expected to feed on your energy. Without your response, they are left empty-handed, frustrated, and weakened. You, on the other hand, walk away with your dignity untouched. Seneca taught that a man who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary. Most of the pain from disrespect does not come from the moment itself. It comes from the endless replay in your mind afterward. You think about what you should have said, how you should have responded, why it stung so badly. Hours pass, sometimes days, and in doing so, you give that person free rent in your head. But when you choose not to react, when you refuse to dwell on their words, you cut off their power not only in the moment, but in the days that follow. You free yourself from the invisible chains of overthinking. But let's be honest, remaining calm when insulted is not easy. It goes against instinct. Our pride wants to defend itself. Our ego demands recognition. Yet strength is not found in satisfying the ego. Strength is found in choosing silence over impulse, clarity over noise, restraint over retaliation. The irony is that by not defending yourself, you actually defend yourself better than any words ever could. Your stillness says, "I am beyond this," and that message is louder than any shout. Think about the most powerful figures in history. The ones who left lasting impressions were not those who barked back at every critic, but those who maintained composure in the face of chaos. They were unbothered not because they didn't face attacks, but because they understood the futility of reacting to them. Aristotle once said, "The more you know, the more you realize you don't know." Wisdom brings humility, and humility allows you to step back and realize most criticisms say more about the speaker than about you. There's a strange kind of dominance in not responding. When someone throws words at you expecting a fight and you give them nothing, you create an imbalance. They stumble, unsure of what to do with your silence. In their eyes, you become untouchable. You hold the higher ground, not by conquering them with force, but by refusing to even enter the battlefield. This is the kind of quiet power that draws respect, even from those who try to provoke you. Of course, none of this means you don't care about anything. Detachment is not the same as indifference. It doesn't mean nothing matters to you. It means you carefully choose what does. Socrates was once asked how to maintain peace of mind, and his answer was simple: stop caring about things that don't matter. When you understand that most disrespectful comments belong in that category, you stop giving them your energy. And in doing so, you save your strength for what truly deserves your attention. But what about the times when criticism does carry truth? This is where discernment comes in. Not every harsh word is worth ignoring. Some contain valuable insight if you are willing to hear it without emotion. The key is to listen with logic, not with pride. Take what serves you, discard the rest, and keep moving. This way, you turn even disrespect into an opportunity for growth. You show that you are not only unshaken, but also wise enough to use every experience as a stepping stone. And this is where the practice becomes transformative. Each time you resist the urge to react, you reinforce the idea that your emotions are yours alone to command. Each time you let an insult slide without response, you build a stronger shield around your inner world. Each time you choose calm, you make calm more natural. Over time, it stops being an effort and becomes who you are. You become the person who cannot be easily rattled, the one others look to when storms arrive, the one who radiates quiet confidence without ever needing to prove it. Marcus Aurelius lived surrounded by critics, enemies, and pressures unimaginable to most of us. Yet in his writings, he constantly reminded himself that their words had no power unless he chose to give them power. He trained his mind daily to see insults as the buzzing of flies, annoying perhaps, but not worth losing peace over. And this is the same training you can apply to your life. It doesn't happen overnight. It is built in moments, in choices, in the discipline of holding back when you want to lash out. The next time someone disrespects you, pause. Let the moment pass without surrendering your composure. Notice how the power shifts instantly. Notice how free you feel walking away with your dignity intact. Notice how strong it feels to not be controlled by someone else's words. That strength, that freedom, is what it means to live unbothered. Because in the end, disrespect only has the power you give it. And when you stop giving it power, you stop being a victim of it. You become the one who chooses, the one who decides, the one who remains steady no matter what storms rise against you. This is the quiet strength of the unshakable mind, and it belongs to anyone who dares to claim it. Picture someone insulting you in public. The natural impulse is to fire back, to defend yourself, maybe even to raise your voice so that everyone watching knows you will not be humiliated. That instinct comes from pride, from the need to prove yourself in the eyes of others. But what happens if you don't? What happens if you simply smile and walk away? The person who tried to sting you suddenly finds themselves powerless. They expected a reaction. They wanted to see you lose control. And when it doesn't come, they are left unsettled, confused, wondering why their words couldn't pierce you. What they don't realize is that in that moment, the true balance of power has shifted. They revealed their weakness by needing a reaction, while you revealed your strength by refusing to give one. This kind of restraint isn't weakness, it's mastery. It's the difference between someone who is easily manipulated and someone who commands themselves so completely that no one else can. Seneca once said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." By delaying your reaction, even for a moment, you change everything. Anger thrives on immediacy. It grows when it is fed instantly. But when you pause, when you let the moment pass without acting, anger starves and disappears. That is why walking away from an insult is not running. It is choosing not to waste energy on something unworthy of it. It is a statement that says, "I am not owned by your words." And think about what that kind of presence communicates to everyone around you. People watching might expect a fight, a sharp comeback, maybe even a heated argument. But when you remain calm, when you walk away with quiet dignity, you create a lasting impression. You become someone different in their eyes, someone who carries authority without needing to prove it. The loudest person in the room rarely commands respect. Respect is earned by the one who doesn't need to shout, because their composure itself speaks louder than words. This is the power of detachment. It doesn't mean you no longer feel emotions. It doesn't mean you become numb or cold. It means you are no longer ruled by emotions when they appear. You feel them, but you do not bow to them. You see the insult, you feel the initial sting, and then you choose not to let it grow into something larger. You choose peace over conflict, control over chaos. In that choice lies freedom. But freedom is rare, isn't it? Most people spend their lives chained to the opinions of others. A stranger's insult, a colleague's criticism, a friend's careless comment. It all becomes heavy baggage they carry long after the words are spoken. They replay it in their minds, letting it tear at their confidence, letting it disturb their sleep. And yet, if you step back, you see how strange it is to give so much power to someone who likely doesn't even think twice about what they said. The moment you walk away without taking their insult with you, you drop that weight. You remain light, untethered, unbothered. This doesn't only protect you in the moment, it builds a reputation over time. When people realize you cannot be easily provoked, they begin to treat you differently. They might test you once, maybe twice, but eventually they learn that their words cannot control you. And because of that, they respect you more. Not in the shallow sense of admiration, but in the deeper sense that comes from knowing they are dealing with someone who stands firm within themselves. Aristotle once said, "The self-controlled person is free." This freedom is not about escaping challenges, it's about escaping the prison of constant reaction. Of course, there will always be those who misinterpret calmness as weakness. They may think that because you don't fight back, you lack strength. But this is where wisdom separates you from the crowd. Realize that true strength is not measured by how loudly you respond, but by how little you need to. A fire that burns quietly lasts longer than one that flares up and dies quickly. In your silence, in your calmness, there is a depth of power that cannot be faked. Those who mock calmness often do so because they lack it themselves. Think also about the gift this gives you in daily life. How many conflicts, arguments, and regrets are born from words spoken too quickly, from reactions that only escalate the problem? How many relationships are damaged because pride demanded a response? By choosing to walk away, by smiling and letting silence speak, you protect not only your own peace, but also the peace of the moment. You create space for clarity, for perspective, for wisdom to guide you instead of impulse. This practice, repeated over and over, builds resilience. Each time you resist the urge to react, you strengthen your ability to stay calm under greater pressure. What starts with walking away from an insult grows into the ability to remain steady during serious conflicts, setbacks, and crises. The small moments train you for the larger ones. Just as a warrior sharpens their blade on small stones before battle, you sharpen your mind in everyday encounters so that when life truly tests you, you are ready. And here's the deeper truth. Walking away is not just about denying someone else power, it's about affirming your own. When you refuse to give your energy to petty attacks, you show that your focus is reserved for higher things. Plato once said, "Wise men speak because they have something to say, fools because they have to say something." The same is true for actions. When you walk away, it is because you know your actions are better spent elsewhere. You are not controlled by the smallness of another person's attempt to provoke. You are moved only by what aligns with your values and your vision. Over time, this way of living transforms you. You become known as someone who cannot be easily rattled, someone whose presence is steady even when the air is tense. And this reputation, though subtle, is powerful. People begin to trust you more. They come to you in difficult moments, knowing that you won't panic or lose control. You become a source of calm in a world addicted to noise. And that is one of the rarest, most valuable qualities a person can have. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. When insulted, the easiest thing is to mirror the behavior, anger for anger, insult for insult. But by doing that, you become what you despise." Walking away, on the other hand, keeps you free from that trap. It keeps you aligned with your higher self, the self that does not stoop to the level of pettiness. That is why walking away is not surrender. It is victory. It is proof that you belong to yourself and no one else. So picture it again. Someone insults you in public. They wait for the rise, the explosion, the chaos. But instead, you smile gently and walk away. They are left with their own words echoing in the silence, unsettled by your composure. And you? You leave with your dignity, your peace, and your power intact. That is the art of living unbothered. That is what it means to carry strength quietly, to choose freedom over reaction, to act as if nothing bothers you, and in doing so, to make it true. And isn't that the secret? True dominance isn't about shouting louder, about being the most dramatic or explosive voice in the room. It's about not needing to react at all. The strongest presence isn't the one who tries to fill every silence with noise, but the one who can sit in silence without flinching. Think about the times you've walked into a space and noticed someone who hardly spoke, yet everyone was aware of them. They didn't raise their voice, they didn't force their opinions, and yet their composure alone commanded attention. That is real strength. It is not found in volume, but in restraint. When you no longer feel the urge to prove yourself with words, when you no longer let every challenge pull you into conflict, you start to embody a power that doesn't need to be announced. It simply exists. Most people confuse reaction with strength. They believe that to prove themselves, they must respond to every insult, defend every opinion, or force others to recognize their value. But this constant need for reaction reveals fragility rather than power. If someone can pull you into a fight with a few words, then they control you. If you need to shout to be heard, then you haven't yet cultivated the kind of presence that speaks on its own. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best answer to anger is silence." He understood that silence often carries more weight than any speech, because it demonstrates mastery of the self. In silence, there is no loss of energy, no wasted words, no exposure of weakness. It's a shield that protects your dignity and reflects your strength. When you stay calm, people notice. They may not say it out loud, but they feel it. In fact, it unsettles them. We live in a world where outrage and loudness are the norm. When someone refuses to play that game, it creates a shift. Imagine someone insulting you, expecting you to react, and instead you remain still, even composed. They will often double down, pushing harder, trying to find the crack in your calm. But as each attempt fails, it is not you who is weakened, it is them. They become desperate for a reaction, and the more desperate they become, the clearer it is that you hold the power. This is the paradox of dominance. The one who cares less about appearing dominant often ends up with the most control. This is not about passivity, it's about control. To need no reaction does not mean you never act. It means you choose when and how to act with precision. A person who reacts to everything is predictable, easily manipulated. A person who acts sparingly and deliberately, however, is dangerous in the best way. People cannot anticipate them, they do not reveal their cards, and that unpredictability itself becomes power. Socrates, facing trial and eventual death, did not lash out against those who condemned him. He remained calm, thoughtful, steady. Even in defeat, his composure became his legacy. His silence in the face of injustice spoke louder than any argument could have. The strongest presence in the room, then, is not the one scrambling for attention. It is the one who can afford to wait, to sit with silence, to look unbothered while others unravel themselves with noise. And here lies another truth. When you need nothing from others, they start to give you everything. They lean in when you finally do speak. They pay attention to the few words you choose, precisely because you do not waste them. This is why restraint is not emptiness, it is value. Just as gold is rare and precious, words and actions that are measured carefully carry far more weight than endless chatter. Think about how many arguments in your own life would have dissolved if you had simply chosen not to react. How many battles have you fought that left you exhausted, but changed nothing. How many times have you been pulled into someone else's chaos, only to realize later it wasn't worth a single moment of your energy? Now imagine the freedom of walking away from all of that, not because you are weak, but because you are strong enough to choose peace over chaos. Epictetus taught, any person capable of angering you becomes your master. He can anger you only when you permit yourself to be disturbed by him. Every reaction gives away power. Every silence takes it back. When you build this habit, something profound begins to shift inside you. At first, it feels uncomfortable not to respond. Your ego resists. It wants to defend itself, to fight back, to prove something. But with practice, that discomfort fades, and in its place comes confidence, a quiet, unshakable confidence. You no longer need to be understood by everyone. You no longer need to explain yourself at every turn. You realize that your worth is not fragile. It does not shatter when someone questions it. And the more you live this way, the more natural it becomes. What once required effort becomes second nature. You embody calmness as a way of life. And here is where the world begins to treat you differently. People cannot provoke what does not react. They cannot control what does not bend to them. They may try, they may push, but eventually they learn that you are a wall, steady and unshaken. And because of that, they begin to respect you more. Even those who dislike you cannot help but recognize that you are not swayed by their efforts. In a strange way, your refusal to react forces them to see you as someone who is above the noise, someone whose center lies deeper than surface-level conflict. Seneca wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself, and adversity often comes in the form of words. Insults, criticism, disrespect, these are the daily tests life gives you. Each one is an opportunity to prove yourself, not by retaliating, but by mastering yourself. When you endure these moments without flinching, you demonstrate a kind of strength that cannot be taken away. You do not depend on victory in argument or approval from the crowd. Your victory is already secured because you remained in control of yourself. And isn't that what true dominance really is? Not control over others, but control over yourself. Anyone can shout, anyone can argue, anyone can explode with anger. But it takes a different kind of discipline to smile, to remain calm, to act only when it truly matters. That is the kind of presence people remember. That is the kind of strength that lasts long after the noise has faded. So the next time you find yourself in a room filled with tension, when the pressure rises and the voices grow louder, remind yourself of this. The strongest person is not the one who demands to be heard. It is the one who can remain silent and still be felt. True dominance needs no reaction. It reveals itself quietly, steadily, and unmistakably. And when you live from that place, you stop being controlled by the chaos around you. You become the calm in the storm, the anchor that others cannot move. That is what it means to not flinch, to stand unbothered, and to carry the kind of strength that no noise can ever match. But let's go deeper. Why is this so rare? Why do so few people manage to walk through life untouchable, calm in the face of provocation, steady in the middle of storms? It's because from the moment we are young, we are conditioned to react. Conditioned to defend ourselves at the slightest hint of disrespect, conditioned to prove our worth whenever it is questioned, conditioned to fight back so no one sees us as weak. This training is everywhere, at school, at work, in our families, in the culture that surrounds us. The message is constant. If you don't react, you lose. Yet the truth is the opposite. The more you react, the more predictable you become. And predictable people are easy to manipulate. The moment someone knows exactly how to pull your strings, they own you. So the real question is this: Do you want to live as someone predictable, or do you want to rise as someone untouchable? Think about the way people are tested in everyday life. Someone throws an insult and they respond with anger. Someone disagrees and they argue endlessly. Someone criticizes and they rush to defend themselves. These reactions are automatic, rehearsed, mechanical. They happen because people have not yet learned how to pause, how to observe, how to choose a response instead of being owned by an impulse. When you begin to break this conditioning, something powerful happens. You start to see that you don't have to prove yourself in every conversation. You don't have to defend yourself every time someone misunderstands you. You don't have to fight battles that add nothing to your life. Instead, you step into a new way of being, one where your silence carries more authority than your words, one where your calmness unsettles those who expected to shake you. This is why so few people achieve it. It requires the discipline to break habits that feel natural but are actually chains. Seneca once observed, "He who is brave is free." Bravery here doesn't mean shouting the loudest. It doesn't mean winning every argument. It means having the courage to let go of the need to prove yourself in the eyes of others. It means being free from the compulsion to react in order to feel validated. This is bravery of the highest kind because it is not directed outward against an enemy. It is directed inward against the ego that constantly demands recognition. And when you win that battle, you discover a kind of freedom that cannot be taken away. Consider the difference between the person who reacts to everything and the person who reacts to almost nothing. The first lives in constant turmoil. Their peace rises and falls based on what others say or do. They are exhausted because every day feels like a fight. The second, however, lives in stillness. They choose carefully what deserves their energy. Most things they simply let pass by, and because of this, they conserve their strength for the moments that truly matter. Which life do you think leads to power? Which life creates the kind of presence that people remember? The rarest individuals are the ones who can sit in the fire of provocation and not move. They do not let another person's words dictate their state of mind. They do not need to prove anything in order to feel secure. They are unpredictable, not in the sense of being chaotic, but in the sense of being beyond control. People who rely on provoking others to gain power have no strategy for someone who refuses to play the game. When you cannot be predicted, you cannot be controlled. And when you cannot be controlled, you are free. But this kind of freedom takes training. It does not arrive overnight. It is built in the small moments when you choose not to respond, when you notice the urge to defend yourself and instead let silence carry your answer. When you feel anger boiling but allow it to pass without spilling it on anyone else. Over time, these small choices rewire the way you move through the world. They transform you from someone reactive into someone steady. And the transformation is visible. People will notice that you are not like the rest. They will sense your calmness and feel both respect and confusion because you do not follow the script they expect. Socrates himself lived this principle. When accused unjustly, when mocked, when put on trial for his life, he remained calm. He did not beg, he did not rage, he did not collapse into fear. His composure was his defense. And in the end, though his body was condemned, his spirit was untouchable. His restraint turned what could have been humiliation into a lesson for all of history. This is what happens when you refuse to let others dictate your reactions. You shape not only the moment, but also the legacy that follows you. And isn't that the irony? We are trained to believe that reacting proves our strength, when in reality, it only shows our weakness. It reveals exactly where we can be controlled. It tells the world, if you want to move me, here's how. But when you stop reacting, When you cultivate the art of calmness, you close that door. You give no one the manual to your emotions. Instead, you keep your power close, within yourself, unshakable and unseen, until you choose to reveal it. That is what it means to be untouchable. Not that nothing ever happens to you, but that nothing owns you when it does. Plato once said, "The first and best victory is to conquer self." This victory does not come with applause. It comes quietly, in the moments no one else notices. It comes when you let go of the urge to answer back, when you refuse to waste your peace on battles that do not matter. It comes when you realize that the greatest strength is not found in controlling others, but in controlling yourself. And once you taste that victory, you realize how rare and precious it is. So ask yourself, do you want to live as someone predictable, whose reactions can be pulled from them with the simplest provocation? Or do you want to rise above, to become the one who remains steady, who cannot be controlled, who carries a presence that speaks louder than any argument? This choice, though difficult, is the secret to becoming untouchable. And though few have the discipline to live this way, those who do stand apart. They are remembered not for the noise they made, but for the calm they carried. The path is not glamorous, but it is transformative. Each time you resist the urge to react, you sharpen your inner strength. Each time you choose calm over chaos, you step further away from predictability and closer to freedom. And as the habit takes root, you will notice something extraordinary. Life becomes lighter. The noise of the world fades. The chaos of others no longer invades your peace. You begin to live untouchable, not because the world changed, but because you did. And that is the deepest form of power a person can ever know. The truth is, emotions are just visitors. They arrive uninvited, often when you least expect them: anger, fear, shame, doubt. They knock on your door loudly, demanding to be let in, demanding that you give them space at your table. But here's the secret. You don't have to invite them in. You can hear the knock, acknowledge the presence, and still choose not to open the door. That single choice changes everything, because when you pause, even for a second before reacting, you break the chain that controls most people's lives. Most people don't pause. They let the visitor in, they let it take over their home, and before they know it, their entire state of mind belongs to an emotion that was never meant to stay. Think about how often anger hijacks people's lives. One sharp word, one careless gesture, and suddenly they're carried away, shouting things they later regret. In that moment, they're no longer in control. Their anger is. Fear works the same way. It arrives and whispers about everything that could go wrong, and if you let it inside, it paralyzes you before you've even started. Shame is perhaps the most dangerous visitor of all, because it doesn't just want to sit for a moment. It wants to move in permanently. It wants to live inside your head, whispering reminders of your mistakes, convincing you that your worth has been diminished. Yet none of these emotions are permanent unless you give them permission. They are temporary, fleeting guests, and if you learn to keep your doors locked, they eventually move on. Most people mistake a passing feeling for a permanent reality. They let a moment of anger define their whole day. They let a burst of fear define their choices for years. But the truth is, emotions don't last. They only seem powerful because we cling to them, we replay them, we give them life long after they should have faded. The discipline of pausing before reacting is the discipline of letting the visitor pass without turning your entire house upside down for their sake. Carl Jung explained that what we resist not only persists but grows stronger. If you slam the door in denial when anger comes, it will pound harder, demanding to be heard. If you try to bury shame, it finds ways to resurface. The answer is not to fight the visitor or pretend it doesn't exist, but to acknowledge its presence and still choose not to let it control you. Jung once said, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." That's the essence of dealing with emotions. You are not anger, though anger may knock. You are not fear, though fear may arrive. You are not shame, though shame may sit outside your door. You are what you choose to embody, and in that choice lies your freedom. This is where pausing becomes a superpower. A single pause creates a space wide enough for you to choose differently. Most people live in reaction, a cycle that repeats endlessly. Provocation, reaction, regret. They don't even see the space between stimulus and response, but it is always there. The Stoics practiced seeing that space and guarding it fiercely. Imagine being in a heated argument. Words are flying, voices are raised, and your heart is racing. The natural response is to meet fire with fire, to shout louder, to defend harder. But in that moment, if you pause, just one breath, you take back the reins. You see that the anger isn't you, it's just a visitor knocking for attention. In that pause, you choose whether to let it rule or to let it pass. Often, just that 1 second is enough to turn conflict into resolution, chaos into calm. It may feel small, but it is the seed of transformation. And this doesn't apply only to anger. Think of fear. How many opportunities have people lost because they let fear walk in and take control? Fear tells you not to speak up, not to take the risk, not to pursue the dream. If you let it stay, you shrink. But if you pause, if you watch fear without immediately bowing to it, you realize it has no real power. It's a shadow, not a wall. It disappears the moment you step into it. Fear is a visitor that often looks larger from the outside than it does once you face it directly. Shame too loses its grip when met with awareness. Most people crumble under shame, letting it rewrite their identity. They forget that shame is a messenger, not a verdict. Its knock says, something inside you wants healing, but it doesn't mean you are broken. By pausing before you absorb its voice, you can take the lesson without letting the weight destroy you. The practice of seeing emotions this way transforms daily life. Instead of being carried away by every mood swing, you begin to watch yourself. You notice the rise of irritation in traffic and choose not to let it take your peace. You feel the sting of rejection but refuse to let it define your value. You recognize the rush of excitement and choose not to make impulsive promises in its grip. Over time, this practice becomes a habit, and the habit becomes strength. People around you will notice. They'll wonder how you stay calm in situations that drive others mad. They'll notice that you don't flinch, don't crumble, don't let yourself be owned by emotions. This kind of mastery doesn't mean life stops testing you. If anything, the tests grow sharper. People will try harder to provoke you. Life will throw greater challenges in your path. But the difference is that you will no longer be a slave to the knock at the door. You will see the emotion, nod in acknowledgement, and move on with clarity. You will stop mistaking every knock for a command and start treating it as background noise. This is how the strongest individuals are made, not by eliminating emotions, but by learning to stand beside them without falling. Socrates once said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." Examining your emotions in this way is part of living examined. It's noticing when you're reacting on autopilot and asking, is this me, or is this just a visitor trying to move in? That question alone is enough to break the spell. You begin to see that what you once called your personality, your temper, your fears, your shame, was often nothing more than a series of unexamined reactions. Once you see that, you are free to shape a different self, one built on choice rather than compulsion. The more you live this way, the more you realize how rare it is. most people around you will still slam the door or fling it wide open, ruled by every knock they hear. But you will move differently. You'll carry a calm that unsettles those who try to provoke you, because they cannot find the handle to open your door. And in that calm lies influence. People will look to you not because you speak the loudest, but because you remain unmoved. They'll wonder what makes you different, and the answer will always be simple. You no longer invite every visitor to stay. And isn't that what freedom truly means? Not that emotions never come, but that they no longer dictate your life. You become the host, not the guest. You choose what enters, what stays, and what leaves. And in making that choice, you become untouchable. Not because the knocks stop, but because you learned that not every knock deserves an answer. Have you noticed how failure destroys some people, while others seem to rise from it with even greater strength? The event itself is rarely the deciding factor. Two people can experience the same setback, losing a job, failing a business, being rejected, and their paths will diverge completely. One will collapse under the weight of defeat, carrying it like a chain for years. The other will dust themselves off, learn something from the experience, and move forward with sharper focus. The difference isn't the failure. The difference is the attachment. When you treat failure as proof of your inadequacy, it becomes part of your identity. But when you treat it as information, as feedback, it becomes data that guides your growth. One path leads to paralysis, the other leads to resilience. This shift in perspective is everything. People often forget that failure has no meaning until we assign it one. It's just an event, a moment in time. But we cling to it, replay it, weave it into the story we tell ourselves about who we are. And once that happens, it becomes heavier than the event itself. Carl Jung understood this deeply. He wrote that, "In all chaos there is a cosmos, in all disorder, a secret order." What feels like destruction often hides the seeds of transformation. But if we cling to our expectation of how life should unfold, we miss it. The attachment to a perfect outcome blinds us to the hidden order in the setback. Failure, when examined closely, is often a redirection, a lesson pointing us toward a path we could not have seen otherwise. But you can only discover that order if you detach your identity from the failure itself. If you collapse into despair and tell yourself, "I am a failure," you stop searching for meaning, and the hidden order remains buried. This is why some people fall apart. They confuse failing at something with being a failure. Those two things are not the same. One is an event, the other is a self-image. And when you attach the event to your identity, you trap yourself in it. The stronger the attachment, the tighter the chains. Every time you face something new, the memory of past failures whispers in your ear, convincing you not to try. It's not the failure that destroys people, it's the story they build around it. But what if you stripped failure of that story? What if you saw it only as information, a test result, a signal, a reflection of what worked and what didn't? Scientists live this way by nature. Every failed experiment isn't a tragedy, it's data. It narrows the path, points the way forward. Why can't life be approached the same way? The ones who use failure as fuel understand this. They collect the data, learn, and keep moving. They don't carry the weight of shame with them. They understand that failure belongs to the past the moment it happens, and the only rational choice is to use it as guidance for the future. Think of Thomas Edison's experiments with the light bulb. Thousands of attempts, most of which didn't work. Had he taken failure as identity, the story would have ended long before success. But each failure was seen as discovery, one more way that wouldn't work. Each setback became part of the data that eventually led to breakthrough. While Edison isn't one of the philosophers we've referenced, his story embodies their wisdom perfectly. Failure doesn't kill progress, attachment does. The refusal to detach identity from outcome is what ends most journeys before they truly begin. Epictetus put it in simple terms. It's not things that upset us, but our judgments about things. Failure itself doesn't break you. Your judgment of it does. If you tell yourself, "This proves I'm not capable," then you will live in that shadow. But if you tell yourself, "This shows me how to improve," then the very same event becomes fuel. The power of that shift cannot be overstated. One leads to despair, the other to resilience. And resilience is the foundation of all greatness. Look closely at anyone who has built something meaningful, and you'll see this pattern. They all failed, they all stumbled, they all faced rejection. The difference is that they didn't attach themselves to those moments. They didn't wear failure like a badge of identity. Instead, they kept moving, seeing each step as part of the process. What breaks others becomes their training ground. And because of this, they grow stronger than those who never dared to risk failing at all. Beginnings are fragile. They are often filled with mistakes, missteps, and shortcomings. Those who cannot detach from failure never make it past the beginning. They quit too soon. They let early stumbles convince them the journey isn't worth it. But those who view failure as data understand that beginnings are supposed to be rough. They expect mistakes, and so they are not crushed by them. By detaching from the fantasy of a perfect start, they allow themselves the freedom to learn, adapt, and continue. And isn't this the essence of growth itself? To see each step not as proof of who you are, but as an opportunity to become more than you were yesterday. Failure, when stripped of attachment, becomes the most honest teacher. It shows you exactly where you stand, without exaggeration or disguise. It is feedback in its rawest form. To ignore it is foolish. To attach yourself to it is destructive. But to use it, that is wisdom. The reason many never recover from failure is that they resist it. They fight against what has already happened, but resistance only deepens the wound. Acceptance is the path forward. Accept the failure, accept the sting, accept the lesson, and then move on. When you begin to live this way, something profound shifts. Setbacks no longer derail you. Rejections no longer crush you. Instead, they become part of your fuel. Each one strengthens your resolve. Each one sharpens your strategy. Each one prepares you for the next step. Over time, you build resilience so deep that failure ceases to scare you at all. It becomes part of the rhythm of life, as natural as breathing. You stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start asking, "What will I learn when I do?" And that simple reframing is enough to keep you moving when others stop. Marcus Aurelius captured this beautifully when he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action." What stands in the way becomes the way. The obstacle is not separate from the path. It is the path. Failure is not a detour, it is part of the road itself. Those who resist it stay stuck. Those who embrace it keep walking. And by walking, they discover that every apparent dead end hides a new direction. What others call defeat, they call instruction. What others call the end, they call a beginning. So the next time you fail, pause before attaching yourself to the story of defeat. See the event for what it is, information, not a reflection of your worth, not a verdict on your future, but data for your next move. Let the sting pass, then look for the lesson. Train yourself to detach from the outcome and focus instead on the process. This doesn't just change how you face failure, it changes how you face life itself. Because life, at its core, is a series of experiments. And those who learn the most from failed experiments are the ones who eventually master the craft of living. And this applies to pressure too. Some people crumble the moment the weight of expectation presses down on them, while others seem to grow sharper, clearer, almost stronger in the same conditions. What separates the two is never luck, it's preparation. Life is not a question of whether storms will come, it's only a question of when. Those who live expecting calm seas are always caught off guard when the winds rise. But those who prepare for the inevitable turbulence are never truly surprised. Pressure doesn't create weakness or strength. It only reveals what was already there. It exposes the training you've already done, or the lack of it. Think of the way soldiers are trained. They don't wait until the battlefield to test their discipline. They prepare for months, even years, running drills until their responses become second nature. When chaos comes, they don't rely on luck. They rely on their training. The same is true in life. Pressure shows up in arguments, in financial struggles, in failures, in loss. And if you've never trained your mind to remain steady, those storms will break you. But if you've trained, if you've built calmness into your very nature, pressure becomes nothing more than another test, a stage on which your preparation shows itself. Marcus Aurelius lived under constant strain as Emperor of Rome. He faced wars, plagues, betrayal, and the relentless weight of ruling an empire. Yet in his writings, you find not despair, but reminders to himself about preparation. "You must build up your life action by action," he wrote, "and be content if each one achieves its goal as far as possible." His strength didn't appear magically in the hardest moments. It was built daily in smaller acts of discipline, thought, and self-control. By the time the storms came, he was already steady. Pressure could not break him because he had already accepted its inevitability. Notice how some people collapse in stress while others thrive on it. The difference lies not in the stress itself, but in the mindset behind it. Those who collapse see pressure as something unnatural, something unfair. They ask, "Why me?" And in doing so, they weaken themselves. Those who thrive expect it. They know stress is not an interruption of life, but an ingredient of it. And because they accept this truth, they meet pressure with preparation rather than panic. When it arrives, they are not shocked. They simply do what they've been training themselves to do all along. This is why the Stoics emphasized anticipation. They would practice imagining loss, hardship, even death, not to live in fear, but to prepare the mind. By rehearsing storms in thought, they trained themselves to remain calm when storms appeared in reality. Seneca once advised, "The man who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive." Preparation shrinks fear. It makes the overwhelming manageable because you've already faced it in your mind. And think about how this plays out in your own life. A person who has never practiced patience collapses at the first sign of frustration. But someone who has trained themselves daily to pause, to hold back their temper, meets that same frustration with ease. A person who has never faced discomfort is broken when life withholds ease. But someone who has chosen small discomforts, discipline in waking early, restraint in speech, effort in exercise, finds themselves ready when true difficulty arrives. The preparation was already there. Pressure is simply the stage that reveals it. This also explains why some people can endure losses that would seem unbearable to others. They have trained themselves not to cling too tightly to what can be taken away. They know life is unpredictable. They expect change, and so when it comes, they adapt. Think of pressure as a mirror. It reflects back to you what you've been practicing all along. If you've practiced avoidance, it will show. If you've practiced self-control, it will shine through. The moment of stress is not when you begin building strength. It is when you reveal it. The hours before, the days before, the years before, those are the times you are either preparing yourself or leaving yourself vulnerable. That is why some people thrive when tested. They've been rehearsing long before the curtain was ever drawn. Carl Jung also believed that the unconscious, if left unexamined, will control you under pressure. This is why so many people say things in anger or fear that they regret. They have not faced themselves deeply enough to understand their own shadows. Under stress, the unexamined parts of themselves rise up and take command. But when you do the work of preparation, reflecting, questioning, strengthening your inner life, you stop being a victim of the unconscious. You remain present even in chaos. The storm doesn't pull you under because you've already practiced swimming in turbulent waters. Think of how an athlete trains. They don't just practice when the stadium is full. They prepare in empty gyms, in quiet mornings, in repetition no one sees. When the spotlight comes, they don't panic, because what feels overwhelming to others feels familiar to them. They have already lived the pressure in training. The same is true for the mind. If you practice calmness in small irritations, you will not be undone by larger ones. If you train yourself to accept loss in small ways, the greater losses will not destroy you. The strength you build quietly becomes your shield when the storm comes publicly. And here's the hidden truth. Pressure doesn't weaken you. It introduces you to yourself. It shows you whether your roots are deep or shallow, whether your discipline is real or imagined. That is why some people thank their hardships in hindsight. They realize that without those moments, they would never have discovered their true strength. Epictetus reminded his students that difficulties are the things which show what men are. Without them, no one would ever know their own capacity. And isn't that what we ultimately want? To know ourselves, to see what lies beneath the surface when everything else is stripped away. So the next time you feel the weight of pressure building, remind yourself, this is not the enemy, this is the test, this is the arena where your preparation, or your lack of it, will be revealed. Instead of resisting, lean into it. Remember that storms are not exceptions in life. They are part of the design. If you expect them, they will not shock you. If you prepare for them, they will not break you. And if you welcome them as teachers, they will shape you into someone unshakable. Pressure is not something to fear. It is something to train for, something to embrace, something to use. Because in the end, the people who thrive are not those who wait for calm seas, but those who learn to sail no matter how fierce the winds become. Preparation is the difference. And when you are prepared, storms are no longer disasters. They are opportunities to prove the strength you've been building all along. Ask yourself, how many battles have you fought in your mind that never really mattered in reality? How many hours have you lost replaying conversations, imagining worst-case scenarios, or agonizing over outcomes that never came to pass? We all do it. Our minds are experts at conjuring storms that don't exist. And yet, those storms feel so real in the moment that they consume our energy, shape our moods, and sometimes even change the choices we make. Most of these worries fade with time, but in the moment, we hand them power as if they are eternal truths. It's almost as if we are living two lives at once, the life in front of us and the one inside our head. And often, the second one feels heavier than the first. Worry thrives on repetition. It loops the same thought over and over, convincing you that by dwelling on it, you are somehow preparing yourself. But this is an illusion. The truth is, worry rarely prevents pain. It only creates it twice. You suffer first in imagination, and then again if the event actually happens. Most of the time, the imagined suffering is worse than the reality ever could be, yet we pour our energy into it as if it were the most important battle of our lives. The wise choose differently. They recognize that energy is a limited resource. Every thought, every worry, every conflict you entertain drains you. And because of that, you cannot afford to fight every battle. You cannot afford to spend yourself on what doesn't move you forward. Marcus Aurelius advised himself in his meditations to ask whether the thing disturbing him would matter in 10 years or even 10 days. That question has the power to shrink most worries instantly. When viewed in the perspective of time, most battles lose their size, revealing themselves for what they really are: fleeting irritations, not eternal truths. Think about the last time you were consumed by worry. Maybe it was about someone's opinion of you, or about a situation at work, or about a mistake you made in the past. In the moment, it felt massive. But looking back now, does it carry the same weight? Most likely not. The storm passes, the world moves on, and the thing that once kept you awake at night fades into irrelevance. Yet in the moment, you treated it as if it were life-defining. This is the cost of fighting battles in the mind. You pay with your peace for things that never deserved it. There is a discipline in choosing your battles, and it begins with awareness. Awareness of how often you're dragged into fights that don't exist. Awareness of how much energy you spend on ghosts. Once you notice, you can start to step back. You can remind yourself that not every thought deserves to be entertained. You can let some pass like clouds instead of turning each one into a storm. The more you practice this, the lighter your mind becomes. Instead of constantly being at war with yourself, you discover peace, not because the world is easier, but because you are wiser with your attention. Aristotle observed, "The energy of the mind is the essence of life. That energy is either wasted on meaningless battles or invested in meaningful ones." Every time you allow your mind to spiral into endless worry, you drain the energy that could be used to create, to solve, to grow. It's like carrying water in a leaking bucket. You pour out effort, but by the time you need it, nothing remains. Those who learn to seal those leaks, who stop wasting energy on shadows, suddenly find themselves with a reservoir of strength for what truly matters. And when you begin to live this way, you notice something else. The world becomes quieter. Not because external problems vanish, but because the internal noise reduces. You stop over-analyzing every word spoken to you. You stop obsessing over every uncertain outcome. You stop rehearsing conversations that will never happen. Instead, you reserve your focus for what is directly in front of you. And in that simplicity, you find clarity. The mind that once felt like a battlefield begins to feel like a sanctuary. This does not mean you ignore problems. The wise are not careless. It means you recognize the difference between problems that require action and problems that only exist in thought. One is real, the other is imagined. One needs solving, the other needs letting go. This distinction is what separates those who remain steady from those who are constantly anxious. The anxious person fights endlessly, losing battles that never existed. The steady person chooses carefully, saving their strength for what matters most. Plato once said, "The part can never be well unless the whole is well." If your mind is at war with itself, no single part of your life can truly be at peace. That's why choosing battles is not just about efficiency. It's about health, about balance, about harmony. When you stop fighting unnecessary wars in your head, the rest of your life begins to align. Your relationships become calmer, your work becomes clearer, your presence becomes steadier. Peace of mind ripples outward, shaping everything you touch. So the next time your mind begins to spiral, pause. Ask yourself, does this battle matter? Will it still matter tomorrow, next month, or next year? If the answer is no, then let it go. Save your energy for what deserves it. Save your strength for the challenges that shape you. Because in the end, the mind will always present you with battles, but only you can decide which ones are worth fighting. And that choice, the choice to invest only where it matters, is what separates a life consumed by worry from a life lived with wisdom. And what about approval? Isn't it exhausting chasing the validation of people who, in truth, will forget your name tomorrow? How many choices are made not because they align with our values, but because they align with what we think will earn us praise? We change how we speak, how we act, even how we dream, just to fit into the molds others hand us. But the tragedy is that applause is fleeting. One moment it lifts you, the next it vanishes, and you are left empty, desperate for the next hit of validation. The moment you stop needing that applause, the moment you let go of the hunger for approval, you taste freedom. Approval is a leash, and every time you pull against it, you only tighten the hold. But detachment, that is freedom. Marcus Aurelius, burdened with the weight of an empire, still reminded himself daily, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." He saw clearly how absurd this trap is. We already know ourselves better than anyone else, and yet we allow strangers, critics, even casual acquaintances to carry more influence over our sense of worth than our own inner judgment. Isn't that madness? To abandon the one voice that truly knows us for the clamor of voices that barely see us? And yet most people live like this, enslaved by approval. And notice what happens when you do. The same people whose approval you once chased may be confused, even disappointed, because you no longer bend to their expectations. But over time, something shifts. People begin to respect you more when they realize you don't need their approval. You become untouchable in a way that those who beg for validation never can be. This is why approval is so dangerous. It disguises itself as connection. We think that by earning approval, we're building bonds, but in truth, we're building cages. We're training ourselves to move only when others pull the strings. Every word becomes calculated, every step designed for effect, until we are no longer living, only performing, and in the process, we forget who we are. Detachment breaks this cycle. It hands the pen of your story back to you. Instead of being written by others, your life begins to reflect your own truth. But detachment takes courage. It means risking disapproval. It means standing firm in your decisions when people criticize. It means holding to your vision even when the crowd mocks it. This is why so few people choose it. It feels uncomfortable to step off the stage where everyone is watching. Yet that discomfort is the doorway to freedom. Socrates endured ridicule and trial for refusing to conform to the expectations of Athens. He could have lived longer by yielding, but he chose to remain true to himself. His freedom lay not in survival, but in integrity. And integrity is what detachment protects. And here's the paradox. When you stop seeking approval, you actually gain more of it. Not the shallow applause that comes and goes, but the deeper respect that comes from authenticity. People trust those who are not desperate to be liked because they sense something rare, a person who is grounded in themselves. Plato said, "The greatest wealth is to live content with little." And what is more contentment than to live with yourself without needing constant confirmation from others? That wealth cannot be bought, and it cannot be taken away. Look closely at those who achieved greatness in any field: philosophy, art, science, leadership. Almost without exception, they were misunderstood in their own time. They were mocked, doubted, and criticized. But because they were detached from needing approval, they pressed forward. They weren't chasing applause, they were chasing truth. And it was only later that the world caught up. Imagine if they had abandoned their paths just to be accepted. Imagine if their need for validation had been stronger than their commitment to their vision. We would have been left with mediocrity instead of masterpieces. Approval is intoxicating, but it is also addictive. The more you receive, the more you crave, and the less you can live without it. That cycle is endless, unless you break it. And breaking it requires realizing that approval is never really about you. It's about the other person's expectations. To live for approval is to hand over your life to standards you did not create. To live detached from it is to finally begin shaping yourself on your own terms. And don't mistake detachment for arrogance. True detachment is humble. It doesn't say, "I don't care about anyone." It says, "I care, but I don't need to be defined by anyone's opinion." It's the difference between valuing connection and being enslaved by it. Approval chasers often become arrogant because their self-worth rises and falls with the praise of others. They inflate when praised and collapse when criticized. Detached individuals, however, remain steady. They can hear both criticism and applause without losing their center. That steadiness is what makes them trustworthy, admirable, and strong. So the question is simple but difficult. Are you willing to let go of the leash? Are you willing to walk away from the endless chase for applause and step into the freedom of living on your own terms? The moment you do, everything changes. Your decisions become clearer, your voice becomes steadier, and your presence becomes stronger. You stop bending for every opinion and start standing tall in your own truth. And that kind of freedom is worth more than all the applause in the world. Because when you no longer need approval, you no longer live for others. You live for yourself, in alignment with your values, your vision, your deepest self. Approval is a leash, and it will hold you as long as you let it. But detachment is freedom, and it is waiting for you the moment you decide you are ready to walk unchained. Criticism is another test, one of the most subtle and dangerous trials we face in daily life. At first, it always feels personal, as if someone has aimed a dagger at your sense of worth. Words can cut deeper than steel because they strike at identity, at pride, at the fragile parts of ourselves we don't want exposed. Yet if you step back, you'll see that most criticism isn't about you at all. It's a mirror reflecting the critic's insecurities, their disappointments, their unresolved conflicts. They project those things onto you because it feels easier than facing themselves. And if you accept that projection as truth, you end up carrying borrowed pain. Why let the wounds of others become your own? That burden was never meant for you, and the wisest path is to recognize it, take what is useful, and leave the rest behind. This ability to filter criticism is rare because we are conditioned to treat every comment as valid. From childhood, we're trained to respond to feedback immediately, to explain ourselves, to defend, to justify. But living this way turns every voice into a master over your emotions. Marcus Aurelius faced endless criticism as emperor, yet in his meditations he reminded himself, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. He saw clearly that criticism gains its sting from our interpretation, not from the words themselves. One person hears an insult and dismisses it. Another hears the same words and carries the weight for years. The difference lies in the estimate, the value you assign to it. And that value is always in your control. Think about how often people project their limitations onto others. Someone criticizes your ambition because they have abandoned their own. Someone mocks your courage because they never found theirs. Someone doubts your vision because they cannot see beyond their narrow frame. If you let their words shape you, you are letting their limitations become your boundaries. Of course, not all criticism is worthless. Some is valuable, even essential. The challenge is to discern the difference. Constructive criticism comes from those who want to see you grow, who have knowledge and perspective worth considering. Destructive criticism, on the other hand, is nothing but noise, born from envy, bitterness, or ignorance. The wise learn to filter. They don't discard everything, nor do they swallow everything whole. They separate the grain from the chaff, the useful from the useless, and in doing so, they turn even negative voices into tools for progress. Seneca observed, "No man was ever wise by chance. Wisdom is deliberate, it requires practice, and filtering criticism is part of that practice. You must train your mind not to be shaken by every passing word, but to listen with clarity. If the words offer truth, embrace them. If they are empty, discard them without a second thought." To be unmoved by shallow judgments is not arrogance, it is maturity. It means you have built your worth on a foundation deeper than the noise of opinion. Think of an artist chiseling a statue. Passers-by will comment, some will admire, some will mock, some will give unsolicited advice. The artist doesn't abandon his vision every time a voice interrupts. He listens when someone speaks with knowledge, but he ignores the rest. His work is guided not by the noise of the crowd, but by the clarity of his own purpose. Life works the same way. You are the sculptor. If you adjust your shape every time someone comments, you end up with nothing but fragments. But if you stay true to your form while remaining open to wisdom, you create something lasting. Plato once said, "Opinion is the medium between knowledge and ignorance." Most criticism belongs to that in-between space. It is neither pure wisdom nor pure nonsense. It's a reflection of where the critic stands in their own growth. This is why filtering is so important. Treating every opinion as law is as dangerous as dismissing every opinion as worthless. The art lies in discernment, and discernment is what allows you to keep moving without being paralyzed by words. But how do you keep criticism from cutting too deeply? By remembering that you are not obligated to accept every gift handed to you. An insult is like a package left at your door. You don't have to bring it inside, you can leave it where it is. The critic may have created it, but you decide whether to claim it. Detachment is the strength to see words as external objects rather than as reflections of your identity. And when you practice this, you begin to notice how much lighter life feels. You carry only what is useful, leaving the rest behind. When you begin to live this way, you find yourself less shaken by words. You hear them, you consider them, but you do not carry them. They pass through you like wind. And because of this, you gain a kind of quiet strength that others notice. You become someone who cannot be easily manipulated by opinion, someone whose worth is rooted deeper than the surface. And this calmness is magnetic. People are drawn to those who remain steady in the storm of voices. So the next time criticism comes, and it will, remember that it is just another test, not of your worth, but of your wisdom. Keep what helps you grow, discard the rest, and move on, because life is too short to carry the pain that others are trying to hand you. And the freedom of living unbothered is found not in silencing critics, but in silencing the part of yourself that believes every word deserves your energy. Do you see the pattern? When you act unaffected, you don't just protect yourself from harm, you completely flip the power dynamic. The moment someone realizes their words or actions cannot penetrate you, the balance shifts. Instead of you struggling to defend yourself, they begin struggling to understand you. People admire what they cannot shake because it suggests a depth of strength they don't yet possess. And they respect what they can't easily figure out because mystery has always carried its own kind of power. To stand firm, unbothered, is to become an enigma. And mystery in itself becomes strength. Think of the times in history where true influence came not from loud displays, but from quiet, steady composure. Leaders who didn't need to explain themselves at every turn often carried the most authority. Their silence was not emptiness, it was presence. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, "Be like the rock against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it." This image is powerful. The rock doesn't shout at the waves, doesn't attempt to stop them. It simply remains unmoved. And because of this, it transforms the chaos around it into calm. That is the kind of strength people feel when you act unaffected, a groundedness that speaks louder than reaction ever could. Carl Jung spoke of the psyche in similar terms, emphasizing that people are unsettled when they meet something they can't categorize. He wrote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. If you react wildly, you are easily transformed by others. But if you remain calm, they are transformed by you. Your refusal to bend makes them question their own position. Your mystery unsettles them because it exposes their own predictability. They expected conflict, they expected control, but what they find is a calmness they cannot touch. This is why mystery is so magnetic. People lean in when they don't fully understand you. They speculate, they wonder, they try to figure you out. The less you give away in reaction, the more they project their own interpretations onto you. And often, those projections are far more powerful than anything you could have said. Silence, restraint, and composure invite curiosity. And curiosity is one of the strongest forces of attraction. People are drawn to what they cannot easily define. Seneca offered a simple piece of wisdom. If you wish to be loved, love. But if you wish to be respected, the principle is different. You must not be easily moved. Respect is born not from bending, but from standing firm. People trust those who remain steady under pressure, because steadiness suggests mastery. When others lose control, they look to the one who hasn't. And when that one is you, your mystery turns into authority. They may not always like you, but they will always respect you. Think of how this plays out in personal relationships. When you are overly reactive, when every word or gesture pulls an immediate response from you, people stop valuing your presence. You become predictable, and predictability is easy to manipulate. But when you remain calm, when you respond with intention rather than impulse, people treat you differently. They hesitate before provoking you. They measure their words more carefully. They sense that you are not like others, that you cannot be controlled in the same way. This subtle shift gives you quiet leverage, a kind of influence that comes not from force, but from restraint. But mystery is not only external, it changes you internally as well. When you stop reacting to everything, you begin to conserve energy. You no longer waste yourself on trivial conflicts, on arguments that lead nowhere, on proving points that don't matter. That energy builds within you, and people feel it. You carry a quiet intensity, the kind that doesn't need to be displayed to be recognized. Jung warned that energy wasted on constant reaction only feeds the shadow, leaving you weaker and more fragmented. But when you choose calmness, you direct that energy inward, toward integration, toward strength. Think about how nature teaches this lesson. A storm may rage loudly, but it always passes. The mountain, silent and steady, remains. The oak tree sways in the wind but does not uproot. The river cuts through stone, not by force but by persistence. These are the images of true strength, unbothered, patient, enduring. People admire them because they represent what we all secretly desire: stability in a world of chaos. And when you embody even a fraction of that in your own life, you carry the same kind of quiet power. And here lies the paradox of respect. People may laugh at the loudest person in the room, but they almost always admire the one who speaks least and yet is most felt. Mystery unsettles because it cannot be controlled. It creates questions instead of answers. And in a world obsessed with instant clarity and constant noise, that quiet uncertainty becomes irresistible. Epictetus once taught, "If you want to improve, Be content to be thought foolish and stupid. At first, mystery often feels like that. People will misunderstand you, misjudge you, fill the silence with their own assumptions. But in time, they begin to see the strength behind your restraint. They realize you were never foolish. You were simply beyond their grasp. And by then, the respect you carry is deeper than any argument could have earned. So when you act unaffected, you are not only protecting yourself from needless suffering, you are reshaping the very power dynamic around you. People admire what they cannot move. They respect what they cannot predict. And in your calmness, in your silence, in your refusal to react, you create a mystery that becomes your greatest strength. Not because you've hidden who you are, but because you've revealed that your center is unshakable. And in a world where most are constantly pulled in every direction, that steadiness will always stand out as rare, as valuable, and as undeniably powerful. And silence? Silence is a weapon, though most people don't realize it. They rush to explain themselves, to defend, to justify, to prove that they're right. It feels uncomfortable to let words hang in the air unanswered. But the one who can stay silent commands attention without even asking for it. Silence makes people lean in. It forces them to think. It unsettles them in a way that words never could. Words reveal, silence conceals, and concealment has always been a form of power. Which one, then, do you think holds more weight? The person who spills everything, or the one who leaves you wondering? Think about how uncomfortable silence makes people in conversation. A pause of just a few seconds can feel endless. Many rush to fill it, speaking too much, giving away their intentions, or exposing weaknesses they didn't mean to reveal. But the one who can sit calmly in silence is in control of the moment. They don't need to rush. They don't need to fill the air with explanations. Their stillness itself is a statement. I am not unsettled. I am not afraid of space. I am not desperate to be understood. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly of the same lesson. If you are silent, be silent out of love. If you speak, speak with love. His point was not just about kindness, but about intentionality. Don't waste words. Don't speak because you're uncomfortable. Speak only when your words serve a purpose, and remain silent when they don't. That discipline creates authority. People come to know that when you speak, it matters. And that anticipation gives your voice more weight than those who talk endlessly. Silence, then, is not weakness, it's restraint. And restraint is strength. The irony is that silence often says more than words ever could. When someone insults you, silence communicates that their attempt didn't even merit a response. When someone pressures you for an answer, silence shows that you are not hurried. When someone tries to provoke you, silence reveals that you are untouchable. In every case, the absence of reaction speaks volumes. And silence doesn't only disarm others, it sharpens you. When you speak less, you listen more. You hear the tone beneath the words, the hesitation in the voice, the contradiction between what someone says and what their body communicates. Most people miss these details because they are too busy preparing their own responses. But silence makes you observant. It allows you to gather information without giving away your own position. This is why in negotiations, in arguments, and even in everyday interactions, silence is often the most strategic move. You reveal nothing while learning everything. Seneca captured this wisdom when he wrote, "It is quality rather than quantity that matters." He meant it about life itself, but the principle applies equally to words. A few words spoken at the right time carry more force than endless chatter. Silence ensures that when you do speak, your words are not diluted. They strike harder because they are rare. Like a sword unsheathed only when necessary, your voice becomes a weapon sharpened by restraint. Think about the leaders, the mentors, The figures you have respected most. Were they the ones who filled the air with constant words, or were they the ones who spoke less, but whose words carried weight? The quiet ones often leave the deepest impression because their silence creates space. Space for thought, space for meaning, space for mystery. And yet silence is not passive. It is not indifference. It is deliberate, intentional, chosen. A weapon not to harm, but to protect your peace and preserve your power. Silence doesn't mean you accept everything. It means you don't waste yourself on what doesn't deserve you. This kind of silence can feel radical in a world obsessed with noise. We live in an age of endless opinions, of constant explanations, of voices demanding to be heard. But those who master silence rise above the clamor. They don't need to prove themselves in every debate or justify themselves to every critic. Their calmness becomes magnetic. Their silence commands more attention than another person's shouting ever could. People wonder what you are thinking. They speculate, they guess, they lean closer. And in that curiosity lies influence. And here's the beauty of silence. It gives you control over timing. Words once spoken cannot be taken back, but silence gives you space to choose the right words. In moments of conflict, silence cools the heat and clears the fog. In moments of decision, silence allows reflection instead of impulsiveness. In moments of pressure, silence makes you appear unshaken, even if inside you are still finding your footing. Over time, people stop seeing silence as emptiness and start seeing it as strength. So which holds more power, words or silence? Both matter, but silence is rarer, and rarity amplifies value. Anyone can talk. Few can remain silent. Anyone can react. Few can withhold. And in that withholding lies authority. When you master silence, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, you hold a kind of strength that no noise can compete with. In the end, silence is not the absence of communication. It is a different form of it, one that conceals when needed, unsettles when necessary, and commands without asking. Most people will always rush to explain, defend, or justify. But if you can resist that urge, if you can embrace silence as a weapon, you will find that people respect you not because of what you say, but because of what you don't. And that mystery, that restraint, that unshakable calmness will always hold more power than words alone. Even your thoughts can betray you if you don't master them. You may think the real enemies are outside, difficult people, unpredictable events, unfair circumstances, but the deepest battles are fought within your own mind. Fear, doubt, hesitation, these are the shadows that creep in quietly and start directing your actions without you even realizing it. How many times has fear stopped you before you even began? How many times has doubt whispered that you're not ready, convincing you to step back when you should have stepped forward? These enemies don't need to exist outside of you because they thrive within you, sabotaging from the inside out. If left unchecked, they build a prison stronger than any walls the world could ever put around you. The truth is, the mind is not naturally your ally. Left untrained, it wanders, clings, resists, and reacts. It can be your greatest tool or your greatest obstacle. That is why it must be trained daily, just as the body must be strengthened through exercise. A mind left idle becomes weak, but a mind challenged and disciplined becomes unshakable. Training the mind begins with awareness. Gratitude, discipline, and detachment are not lofty ideals, but exercises in focus. Gratitude shifts your attention away from what is missing and toward what is already present. When you train yourself to see what you have, you stop feeding fear with scarcity. Discipline sharpens your ability to act despite discomfort, to remain steady when laziness or doubt tries to drag you down. and detachment allows you to see thoughts and emotions for what they are, visitors, not rulers. Together, these practices become the foundation of mental strength. Without them, the mind becomes soft, easily controlled by impulses, moods, and outside noise. The mind grows the way a muscle grows, through resistance. Without resistance, the body remains soft, fragile, easily broken. Without challenges, the mind remains the same, repeating old patterns, never gaining strength. That is why setbacks, difficulties, and failures are not just obstacles, but essential tools for growth. Each moment of resistance is an opportunity to build resilience. Epictetus told his students, "Difficulties are things that show what men are." When you meet resistance and endure it, you prove to yourself that your mind can withstand pressure. And every time you withstand pressure, you grow stronger. This is why people who avoid challenges often feel weaker, even when life is easy. They are untested. Their minds, like unused muscles, have not developed the capacity to endure. But those who embrace resistance, the daily practice of discipline, the willingness to face discomfort, are the ones who build unshakable strength. Think of the person who wakes early despite wanting to sleep in, who chooses patience when anger rises, who remains calm when provoked. Each of these is a small act of resistance, a small weight lifted by the mind. Over time, these small acts accumulate into extraordinary strength. But mastery is not achieved once and for all. The mind must be trained daily. Just as a single workout will not make you strong, a single moment of discipline will not build lasting resilience. This is a lifelong practice. That is why rituals matter. Morning reflections, moments of silence, gratitude lists, mindful breathing, acts of restraint. Each one is a rep, a set, a repetition for the mind. These are not small or trivial. They are the building blocks of an unshakable inner world, and without them, you risk becoming enslaved to whatever thought or emotion happens to arrive. Jung also warned that unexamined thoughts can dominate you silently. He suggested that when we deny our weaknesses, they take on power in the unconscious. This is why fear feels overwhelming when you ignore it, but smaller once you face it. Mastery requires honesty. You must be willing to admit where your thoughts betray you, where fear still paralyzes you, where doubt still grips you. Only then can you begin to train those parts of yourself. The shadow must be acknowledged before it can be integrated. Plato believed that self-mastery was the highest form of power. He saw the ability to govern the self as greater than the ability to govern others. And this is exactly what training the mind provides. Sovereignty. When you master your thoughts, you are no longer tossed around by every emotional tide. You no longer collapse under hesitation. You move with direction, clarity, and purpose. Others may try to provoke you, but your mind is steady. Events may test you, but your center remains intact. This kind of sovereignty cannot be given, only earned. And it is earned through daily training. Imagine the difference between two people facing the same crisis. One reacts in panic, overwhelmed by fear and doubt. The other remains calm, thoughtful, deliberate. The event is the same, but the outcomes are worlds apart. The second person doesn't have a calmer mind by accident. They've been training for it. They've been building resilience long before the crisis arrived. And when it finally came, their preparation revealed itself. Pressure exposes the training you've done, and the mind, when properly trained, becomes your greatest shield. So remember this: your thoughts are not always loyal companions. Left untrained, they will betray you, whispering fear, doubt, and hesitation. But trained with gratitude, discipline, and detachment, they become allies. They become sources of strength, clarity, and freedom. The mind is like a muscle, and every challenge, Every act of restraint, every moment of gratitude is a repetition that makes it stronger. Over time, that strength becomes unshakable. And when your mind is unshakable, nothing outside of you, no insult, no setback, no storm, can ever truly break you. So let the world test you. Let insults come. Let pressure build. Let setbacks appear, because they are not punishments. They are opportunities. Every trial is practice. Every moment of discomfort is training. And each time you choose calm over chaos, each time you pause instead of exploding, each time you remain steady while others lose control, you are reinforcing an armor no one can penetrate. Life does not forge strength in ease. It carves it out in difficulty, in resistance, in the very moments you wish weren't happening. To avoid the test is to avoid the growth. To welcome it is to become unshakable. Carl Jung approached this from another angle, reminding us that trials reveal the hidden aspects of ourselves. He said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." The world's tests draw out those unconscious parts, exposing weaknesses you didn't know were there. An insult might reveal your sensitivity to pride. A setback might reveal your dependence on control. Pressure might reveal how much fear still dictates your choices. These revelations sting, but they are invaluable. They give you a chance to confront yourself honestly and build the strength you lack. Without the test, those parts of you would remain hidden, silently running your life. With the test, you are given the chance to take command. Think of a soldier training for battle. He doesn't complain about the weight he has to carry or the harshness of the conditions. He knows each repetition, each hardship, is preparation for the real fight. Life works the same way. The insults, the disappointments, the betrayals, they are your training ground. And though you may wish they weren't there, one day you will look back and realize they were essential. Without them, you would have remained fragile. With them, you are fortified. Seneca once wrote, "Fire tests gold, suffering tests brave men." You cannot claim strength without trials to prove it. Just as metal is refined in fire, your mind and spirit are refined in adversity. The insult you endure without reacting, the pressure you bear without breaking, the failure you rise from without despair, these moments temper you. They turn raw potential into real power. You cannot read about calmness and become calm. You cannot imagine strength and suddenly become strong. You must live the trials. You must face them, endure them, and let them shape you. And isn't it true that the people we admire most are not those who had easy lives, but those who stood firm in difficulty? We don't remember the ones who avoided tests. We remember the ones who endured them with dignity. The leader who remained composed while everyone else panicked. The friend who stood steady in your darkest hour. The thinker who produced wisdom out of their own pain. Their strength was not given to them. It was built in the same way yours will be, through practice, through trials, through facing the world's tests again and again, until composure becomes second nature. This armor isn't made of arrogance or detachment from life. It is made of mastery. It's not about refusing to feel, but about refusing to be ruled by what you feel. The insult still stings, but you don't let it guide your action. The pressure still weighs on you, but you don't let it dictate your decisions. The setback still disappoints you, but you don't let it trap you in despair. This is how armor is built, layer by layer, choice by choice, moment by moment. Until one day people look at you and wonder why nothing seems to rattle you. They see only the strength. They don't realize it was forged in countless small battles they never witnessed. Plato, too, saw the value in trials when he wrote about the soul being tested and shaped by struggle. He believed that the highest form of strength was born not in comfort, but in facing hardship with clarity. And this is the gift the world gives you, even when it feels cruel. It will test you. It will insult you. It will press you down. But it is in those moments you are being shaped into someone greater. And once you recognize this, you stop resenting the trials. You start using them. So let the world test you. Don't run from the insults, the pressure, the failures. Let them come, and when they do, remember they are not there to destroy you, but to train you. Every trial is practice. Every moment of struggle is another chance to build resilience. Each time you choose calm over chaos, you add another layer to the armor no one can penetrate. And when that armor is strong enough, nothing outside of you, not people, not events, not even fate, will have the power to break you. Because in the end, it's not the world that determines whether you remain unshaken. It's you. The trials will come no matter what, but whether you collapse under them or grow because of them, that choice is always yours. And when people look at you, wondering why nothing seems to rattle you, that's when you'll know you've built something rare. You've mastered the art of being unbothered, not because life suddenly became easier, not because problems stopped arriving, but because you became stronger, because you finally understood the truth, that control does not come from bending the world to your will, but from owning your own reactions to it. Once you own your reactions, you own your life. That is the kind of freedom most people never taste, and yet it is available to anyone who dares to train for it. This kind of strength is quiet, but it does not go unnoticed. People sense it. They see how you move through storms without losing your footing. They notice how insults bounce off of you, how pressure fails to break you, how setbacks don't define you. They may not understand it at first, and often it unsettles them. Because while the majority are quick to anger, quick to defend, quick to fall apart, you are steady. You carry yourself differently, and that difference is magnetic. It pulls respect from others without you ever asking for it. It's important to understand that being unbothered is not the same as being indifferent. Indifference is apathy. It's the refusal to engage with life at all. Being unbothered, on the other hand, is the choice to engage fully without being ruled by every twist of fate or every opinion of others. You still feel, you still care, you still act, but you do so from a place of sovereignty. You respond on your own terms, not because someone pulled you into a reaction. That difference is subtle but profound. One keeps you chained, the other keeps you free. And once you reach this place, something beautiful happens. Peace becomes your default. Where you once would have reacted, you now breathe. Where you once would have fought, you now pause. Where you once would have crumbled, you now stand tall. That peace radiates outward. It influences the way you speak, the way you move, the way you relate to others. People begin to trust you more, to seek you out when chaos surrounds them, because they know you are not easily moved. You become a source of calm in a world that thrives on noise. Aristotle observed, "The ultimate value of life depends upon awareness and the power of contemplation rather than upon mere survival." When you master the art of being unbothered, you embody that awareness. You're no longer living in a state of survival, reacting to every spark around you. You are living deliberately, with clarity, with intention. Your calmness is not passive, it's active. It's the product of constant awareness, of choosing carefully where to direct your energy, and of refusing to waste it on things that don't serve you. And yet, it would be a mistake to think this journey ends. Mastery of your reactions is not a final destination, but an ongoing practice. Each day the world will offer new tests. Each day someone will try to provoke you. Life will present new obstacles. Your mind will conjure new doubts. But each day also brings another chance to practice, another chance to reinforce the armor you've built, another chance to choose calm over chaos. Over time, these choices compound until your default response is no response at all, just measured action rooted in clarity. And perhaps that is the final truth. To be unbothered is to be free. Free from the grip of insults, free from the weight of criticism, free from the endless need for validation. You are no longer owned by circumstances. You are no longer swayed by every passing emotion. You belong to yourself. And when people notice, when they ask why nothing rattles you, you will smile, not because you feel superior, but because you know the secret. Life did not become easier. You became stronger. You learned to own your reactions. And in owning your reactions, you discovered that you own your life. So let the world wonder. Let them speculate about your calmness, your silence, your mystery. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to defend it. You only need to live it. Because the art of being unbothered is not something you tell. It's something you show. And when you embody it fully, you carry a strength that no one can take from you. The strength of self-mastery, the strength of freedom, the strength of a life that is truly, finally, your own. No storm, no insult, no judgment has the power to own you unless you hand it over. The strength you've been searching for has always been within you, waiting for you to claim it. Master yourself, and you master life. If this message spoke to you, keep the journey alive. Watch one of the videos now appearing on your screen and let the lessons carry you further. Thank you for walking this path with me, and thank you for being a part of Stoic Journal.